Renewed a joint lease, only to unexpectedly have to move out in 2 months. Roommates won't let me get out of the lease even though I've found many qualified replacements. So in February I renewed a lease with my 2 roommates, re-signing the lease for September 2025 to 2026. At the time, I fully intended to stay another year in the apartment. Unfortunately, I got laid off my job shortly afterwards. I recently was offered a new job a week ago, which is actually a dream opportunity, but it's out of state. I end my lease. It says that I can get off the lease if I pay a fee and my roommates both sign off on it. If there is a replacement roommate, they will have to approve them and sign a new lease with the new roommate on it. My landlord isn't picky, the new person just has to have good credit and pay a security deposit. So it's really up to my roommates. I just told my roommates a few days ago after I accepted the offer that I would be moving out at the end of the lease and finding someone to take over my room and the lease, which ends/renews on September 1st. Housing demand is extremely high where I live, so I've already found 10 plus qualified people ready to talk to my roommates and tour the unit. My roommates are incredibly upset and said that it was really unfair of me to be looking for jobs out of state after having signed the lease for another year. 2 months is super short notice, and they don't want to live with someone random. To make a long story short, they made it clear that it will be very, very difficult for them to approve a replacement. They want to thoroughly vet and talk to any potential replacement but are unwilling to make any time to do this over the next 2 months. They also want in writing that I agree to keep paying my portion in the event that September 1st has arrived, and they still haven't approved anyone, because if I stopped paying rent suddenly then both of them would face eviction.
Making a lazy, dirty roommate pay more for bills. I've lived with my roommate for almost a year and about to start a new lease with them. I had a difficult year financially, moving away, him getting a DUI in my car with it being towed, holidays, and was unable to save enough money to move out on my own. We had plenty of conversations before moving in together last year, and we agreed on cleaning, him helping me with my dog, when I'm at working since we work opposite schedules. I have had multiple conversations throughout the past year about him cleaning after himself. I made a chore chart and even offered an option for the bills to be split 60-40 if he didn't want to pitch in with chores. He has promised over and over again that he'd do better, but his excuse is that he works a lot and is tired. He has taken food and drinks that I buy, has gone into my room to sneak water bottles, and took my bong to use and keep in his room for days, and had to ask him to return it. I have peeked in his room, and it is absolutely disgusting. Take out garbage everywhere, bottles and to-go cups filled with pee, and I can literally smell the odor coming from his room. I'm tired of having the same conversation about him pitching in, because it's the same BS excuses. Since I am the only person named on the utility bills, I was thinking of just making him pay more on bills without telling him. Do you think it's best to just not tell him I'm making him pay more for his share? I am a big on informed consent, but I know nothing is going to change. I find it really disrespectful and unfair, the way he doesn't clean, takes food I buy, and takes my personal items, and yet we have to split everything evenly. We were very good friends before this, and it sucks that I have now got to a place that I no longer would want to be friends with him when we end up going our separate ways.
I'm crazier than you. I am living with a random roommate in a dorm, so we share the same living space, bedroom, etc. When she first moved in we were chill and had normal interactions and small conversations. I work 12-hour days, so most of the time I am not in the room, so we aren't close and rarely talk. We have very different personalities, so it's okay for me if we aren't best friends. The first week she was here she got into a loud screaming fight with a neighbor on our floor. It was late at night and she was screaming throughout the wall at this person. Security was called and the situation was dealt with. I was very taken aback by the situation, but I put it beside her because I've dealt with a lot of craziness and she hasn't done anything to me personally, so I just let it go. We aren't that close and only have minimal conversation, but this fight set the tone for me on how she acts in disagreements. Over the past month she constantly talks loudly on the phone every night with seemingly zero awareness or understanding that I am there sharing the room with her. She constantly fights with people on the phone and I overhear her talking about how she wants to fight others physically. She has had many different guys over without asking me or even just telling me they are spending the night. She also often gets into fights with these men while they are here. This is a very small room and I wake up early every day to get ready for work and I find it extremely uncomfortable waking up to random people in our room. I am an introverted person and I do not like inviting conflict in my life. Especially when I just get home from work and this is what goes on in my room. I have noise-canceling headphones so I normally just sleep and ignore her because it works for me, and to be completely honest I think she would have an insane crash-out reaction if I brought up any of these concerns to her, so out of fear of ruining the peace I haven't spoken to her about these problems. I keep the room clean, I mind my business, and I go to work all day. I am extremely easy to live with. 2 days ago I was calling my boyfriend and complaining about her to him because she is annoying and I needed to rant. She was in the shower, we have communal showers. She came back in the room as I was done with the conversation and I didn't think anything of it because she didn't speak to me or say anything. That night I went out with some friends and I came back quietly and went to bed. The room was quiet when I got back and she was seemingly asleep or trying to sleep. Then as I get into bed she starts blasting the most annoying TV show. For context, it is 2 a.m. I am a heavy sleepy and can sleep through things like that, so I just go to sleep. I disregard this as her normal self, being inconsiderate and rude as always. Yesterday was when I realized her actions were becoming intentional towards me. Last night I came back from work in bed about to sleep. She wasn't in the room yet and the lights were off. She barges loudly into the room on the phone once again, another reason why it's hard to talk to her because she is always calling someone. She is screaming and yelling about someone or something very loud to a concerning level where I started to feel unsafe in the room. I have my headphones on, ignoring her because I do not want to escalate her mood or cause her to get angry at me. She gets into bed and does the same thing, playing TV so loudly, like it must be turned all the way up. I ignore it and listen to my music to sleep. She then begins scrolling through TikTok extremely loud and repeating the same 3 seconds of each video over and over again. At this point I realize she's not just being inconsiderate and annoying, she is trying to make me mad. This went on for hours. She was literally on her phone playing this for hours, deliberately trying to get a reaction from me. I will continuously ignore her until she decides to talk to me like an adult because I am crazier than you. I ended up spending the night at a friend's and haven't been back to the room because I refused to feed into her rage bait and lose the idgaf war. The only reasons I can understand why she would do this are A, she overheard me talking shit about her but won't bring it up to me like an adult. B, she gets off on fighting people and is seriously deranged. I'm in the process of switching rooms, but any advice so I can feel safe in my own room for the next couple days would be appreciated.